Last time on Doodly Squatch, I talked about a bunch of books. Guess what I'm going to do today? Hi, guys. Welcome back. Gonna finish off going through my Stephen King bookshelf, and then we can get back to stories and fun times and all that. But for now, let's just dive right into it. Here we go. Today's doodle was kind of a callback to some older portraits I've done, or just my sort of mashups. I wanted to draw a silly guy with some gushy bits and eyeballs and all that jazz. Burp. And yeah, got to like a rat finkish look. But I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. My wife picked out the color palette for me. So that was kind of fun working within, the confines of that and all that jazz. But jumping back into Mr. King, we left off with the Bill Hodges trilogy, and within that, between those, there was Joyland. That's a fun short one. It has a little bit of a like paranormal twist to it, but otherwise it's a fairly straightforward story. I like it. It's a fun one. After that is Revival. I really enjoyed Revival. It's an interesting one because it starts out with a young man meeting a new church leader, a new pastor, and he's got kind of an obsession with like electricity, and kind of he's an eccentric in that aspect, and pardon me, sorry. And within that he discovers this kind of secret electricity that can heal people or stuff like that. But it's an interesting story because it sort of spans this, both this, pastor's life, but also this young boy who meets him in his childhood. And, the boy, grows up, gets into music, gets into drugs, gets off drugs, gets into like studio sessions with like guitarists and stuff like that. All the while, he crosses paths with this minister over and over, and kind of sees the almost like wreckage he leaves behind with his obsession. But what I liked most about this story was kind of its explorations of, death and the afterlife, and what that could be like, and what an obsession with it, would kind of lead to. But I like this one a lot. It's a fun one. Definitely a recommend. One of a few that I usually will bring up with people. After that, we have Sleeping Beauties. He wrote this one with his son Owen King. This one was kind of fun too. It's a interesting take on the almost like a pandemic, but it affects only women. They all fall asleep. They're in like comas. If you try and wake them up, they kill you. They're very violent if you try and wake them up. But kind of the little stories going on in between all this. There's a women's prison, and there's what's going on outside, and there's kind of this titular character named Eve. She's like the Sleeping Beauty. And yeah, I don't know. I like this one a lot. It's fun. Next, I only have the first. Apparently, there's 3 books of this. Only the first and third one Stephen King had a hand in. It's called Gwendy's Button Box. It's very short. It's interesting enough. I do need to sit down and read the other ones. But, long story short, this girl gets a hold of a box where she pushes a button and she gets candy. And depending on the color she pushes, something happens. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And she's sort of figuring that out. And it's interesting. I'm curious where they went with it, honestly. After that is The Outsider, another one that was picked up for a TV series. I haven't watched it in its entirety, but I've seen some of it. It's good. I like the story. It's fun. It's kind of neat because my tongue break. It involves Holly Gibney from the Bill Hodges trilogy. So this is kind of the first sign of her becoming, kind of a mainstay, popping up in other stories. But it's a fun one, just the injustice of it all, of being wrongfully accused and even dying for it, and then, trying to prevent it from happening again, that sort of thing. And, more of the kind of like psychic vampires, very much along like Pennywise and all that. But enjoyable nonetheless. After that is The Institute, another one that's been picked up for a TV show. Not as popular from what I hear, but I like it. It's kind of a fun nod to the Dark Tower, with gathering psychic kids to use as weapons, and it's kind of the story of this one kid, from him getting picked up to then escaping and trying to find help, get out, that sort of thing. I really like how they presented it with this one, though. It was pretty interesting. Next is Billy Summers. Another, an interesting one, because it's more of a crime novel than any kind of horror. But I really enjoyed this one, and of course the main character is trying his hand at writing, because Stephen King likes to write about writers. But it involves a professional guy in the criminal sense, doing a job and then showing how kind of smart he is. He plays dumb most of the time when he's around the other criminal types, just so they underestimate him, that sort of thing. And he's actually quite smart, and pretty much figures out that he's going to get taken out after this job, so he sets up a completely different scenario and is able to get around it. But in the meantime, kind of showing how he integrates into groups of people. Just an overall kind of smart guy. I like how Stephen King writes him. It's a good story. I enjoyed it. After that is Fairy Tale, which is a fun one, because it's the best fantasy I've seen come from Stephen King, probably since Eyes of the Dragon and some of Dark Tower. This one, it really is like a modern fairy tale. It's kind of fun, but not to give anything away, it involves a kid meeting a crotchety old neighbor, and him being more than what you'd think he is, and grand adventure and saving a whole other world, that sort of stuff. So, the usual. After that is Holly. So, hey, here she is again, Holly Gibney. This one's weird, but I like how it goes. It's this old couple who thinks they think that by eating young people, they're going to retain their youth or get their youth back. And it's Holly on the case. And Sodi. It was written during 2020, so during the that time. I don't know if YouTube's still weird about talking about the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, as the Game Grumps would put it. But editor put up a picture of the green ball with red spots on it. You know what I'm talking about, that time. But it's her trying to do... my brain just broke. Investigative work during that time. And kind of the dealing with that, and people, wearing masks, not wearing masks, being weird about it, la-di-da. But it's fun, because it kind of cements it in a time, and you're able to relate, especially. And then his most recent book is Never Flinch, which is, you guessed it, another Holly Gibney one. They also call it Finders Keepers because that was the name of the private investigation place that Bill Hodges started, that Holly remains the owner of. This one's interesting too, just because you get chapters from the perspective of the killer, and then chapters from the perspective of Holly and several other people. You can tell that current politics is very much on Stephen King's mind with this book, and it's kind of interesting to see this character he's created that's kind of a right-wing adjacent lady, but no, not right. Oh, I'm losing my mind, guys. She's like a lefty. There we go. She's very strong feminist, that sort of thing, and her dealing with the crazy right-wing people. There we go. Oh man, can you tell it was a long day at work today? I certainly can. But yeah, that's it so far. There's some smaller ones, lumped in between all that. But I'll get around to that later. I can tell you guys are probably sick of this. I'm kind of tired of talking about it right now. So yeah, I'll get back more to form. Pick out some fun childhood stories or something to talk about, other than just books. I like books. Me like books. Sorry, editor. He's been very grumpy because he has to get reference images for all these books, and it eats up into his precious Street Fighter time. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. It's been fun. This month there have been a lot of fun movies coming out, so me and the editor have been going out to films frequently, and so I've got a lot more fresh ideas and things like that, coming from those, as far as like artwork goes, or just what to talk about, honestly. Anywho, thanks for watching. I'll be back next week with a little more excitement, and appreciate you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. But if you're just listening to my sonorous, beautiful voice, I hope you have a good night, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.